I'm Roebrad 78.
And I'm Fidget 1185.
And welcome to our Couples Therapy.
Welcome back to Couples Therapy, where we talk about this, that, and the other thing.
And this episode is about facing your problems with a laugh. Ha ha ha. Also, deflecting with humor, or also known as facing your problems with humor.
Going to be a little bit more of a kind of a heavy episode.
Welcome back, guys. This is another heavy episode. Every once in a while, we got to throw these out there. But, you know, again, couples therapy, we try to be therapeutic. And one of us is always deflecting with humor. And we want to get to the root of it.
I wonder which one of us it is.
I wonder who. Couldn't possibly be me.
No, couldn't be me.
Yeah, you're right. You're not very funny. Just kidding. But,
see, there you go.
Oh,
snap.
Oh, snap. So we just wanted to talk about this subject because it's something that we never really discussed much of. We've privately discussed it, and we may have in a past episode, like, shortly let you know that that's kind of what I do, I guess. Because this episode is going to be a little more about me. Like, sometimes a subject is going to be a heavy hitter for one person, just like we had an episode previously, if you haven't watched that one before, about depression and anxiety. That one was more of a heavy hitter for Fidget. This is a me episode. So, if I'm the Meg to your Family Guy, you can switch the channel and be like, oh, it's another Meg episode, and then switch it off. But now, honestly, you know, I feel like you have to be honest in a relationship 100%. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be damaging down the road, I guess. What you going to say? For me, I am one of those people that would rather have the whole world laugh than to let people know that I'm in some kind of emotional pain. So that's kind of why I always just laugh it off. Maybe it was also because when I was growing up, I idolized the Joker in a comic book kind of way. I thought he was the coolest, like, supervillain ever, and he was always able to laugh it out. Even one of my first ever hats that I ever wore was a Joker hat, and I still have it, and it still fits me to this day. But it's one of those things where, like, I feel like for me, humor really does help me get over a situation. Like, laughing it off in a way does help me, like, move on from it, because if I'm not laughing, what am I going to do? Get mad? Get sad? You know, I feel like using humor helps me get over that hump sometimes. I know everybody deals with stuff in different ways. Mine just happens to be laughter and making other people laugh, because when I can make somebody else laugh, that brings me joy. The best joy I can possibly get. But Fidget's going to do the questions here, and I'm going to try to stay serious, and maybe we'll put a counter on this one every time I make a joke when she asks me a question, and then at the end we'll see how many jokes I deflected, and Fidget's going to be honest and be like, hey, you made a joke, answer the question. So this is going to be a serious one where I'm going to try not to make as many jokes. Obviously, I'm always on, so that's going to happen. But we're going to try to be serious, and Fidget's going to ask questions here. This may be a short episode. This may be an hour-long episode. We don't know yet. We really don't know what we're going to discuss, and we don't know how long it is. I'm hoping we'll get to the deep root of why I am the way I am. And maybe you guys will see this as a situation where, man, he really opened up to you guys, and I'm hoping that I can be that honest with people someday. And hopefully you guys can learn from this as well. We just don't know yet. So, Fidget, I am going to give you the stage. And I'm going to exit stage right. No, just kidding. All right.
Gotta get that last one out of your
Had
system.
to get the last one out, yeah.
So, when I come to you wanting to talk to you about something serious, because I have, and you use the humor or you crack a joke or whatever, and you see how upset that makes me, like, how does that make you feel, knowing that it's like that I'm wanting to talk to you, and you see that it's visibly making me more mad.
Honestly, it's one of those things where, like, I wish I could shut it off sometimes. It does not shut off. I know I wanted to make a joke while you were saying that, and I shut myself off. That's why you probably saw me smile at one point. But it's one of those things where, like, I wish that I could shut it off sometimes. And I wish that I could open up the Pandora box that is my brain and tell you exactly why this happened. Personally, I grew up with a pretty unique childhood. I think, everybody, I can't say that I grew up with a rough childhood because there's people out there that's had it worse than me, of course. I mean, I didn't grow up with it exactly easy either. Everybody has different challenges for whichever class they're in or whatever, Even people that are doing well in a, like social convention way or whatnot, like financially or whatnot, they still have their own struggles that they deal with. And for them, that's emotionally and a pain for them. But for me, talking about serious stuff, it's just hard for me because it's one of those things that I don't try to get too serious. I generally just, sometimes my brain is like, I don't know why somebody wants to even talk about something too serious. It's like, why can't we just stay in the high and all have fun and whatnot? And that's just how my brain works. Or like, if I'm like in a really good mood, I sometimes just don't want to be brought down to that level yet. I'm not ready for it. I know a lot of times it seems like I'm never ready for that conversation. It's just one of those things where it's like, when you work a lot like I do, and then, like, you stress out all day at work, wondering if you're going to do the right thing or if this is the last day and you're going to have to start over again and figure out stuff. And my brain's on all the time, so it's always thinking, is this my last day at work? Is this my last day of my relationship? Is this my last day on earth sometimes? It's just one of those things that I'm just constantly wondering, worried, trying to find a way to figure out what the next step is. And on the inside, all that's thinking on, but on the outside, I'm channeling in my improv skills and I'm trying to make people laugh, because I feel like if I make people laugh, then they're going to be like, I like this kid. He's going to stay. We're going to keep him around. When it comes to dealing with other people's emotions, sometimes it's either the fact that personally my brain does not emotionally connect with certain things. Like, I was never close with my family, so like when it becomes to a family situation, only other person in my family that I was really that close with was my grandpa, and he's been gone for a while now, and I didn't see him for the last couple of years of his life, so it was a little rough for me there too. It's just one of those things that, yeah, when it becomes like a family matter, it's hard for me to connect to it. I don't know. I didn't have a close family growing up. We didn't like necessarily like stick together, and we were trying to be independent and whatnot, and we were so focused, even as a kid, trying to be independent, that we forgot to really. I personally lost that I guess family empathy that a lot of people have, where it's like how you, like, I'm aware of it when somebody else talks about it and why they have it, but with me it doesn't trigger as easily as it would for other people. Now when it comes to like doing the right thing, I'm always physically or gonna do the right thing, but emotionally I don't think that's where it's at. Like I have a situation where, like, some people say that I can be kind of like a robot, where it's like I don't really have emotions like that. And sometimes I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's true, because I'm pretty desensitized. I think you can say that's pretty true.
Yeah.
There's things that faze me. Obviously, you've seen in our relationship where things have fazed me emotionally, especially passing of friends. That's another thing. Like, I've always lived where friends are the family that you make. And so, like,
family that you choose.
The family you choose, yes. And so, like, my friends that are actually close with me, the ones that I've had for years, ones I've known since high school, some I've known since preschool, those are the family that I chose. And, like, besides you, the immediate family, my secondary family, my, tertiary family, whatever, third removed family is like, they don't mean as much to me as they do. So, like, I'm there at a drop of a hat for my friends, because, like, they've always had my back and I've always had theirs. They actually care about my emotions. I didn't have that growing up. Like, not to say anything, but I couldn't go to my father about issues. He shrugged them off. He's like, if I was sad about something, he would be like, why are you crying? So I didn't personally, I kind of threw that away.
Probably where you have learned it from too.
Growing up, having a brother that's 1 year older than you, not to throw shade or anything, but we were constantly butting heads. We didn't get along. We didn't agree with each other all the time. And, like, he was older than me, so sometimes the razzing got a little too hard. And it led more to resentment than it did, like, nice little hazing or teasing. It literally got to the point that, like, as a child, I remember there was one time where I was just so mad with my family that I vowed that, like, when I become old enough and I have the freedom to it, I'm just going to shut them off. And that's true. That's basically what happened with me. To an extent, I shut off my family. And I was going to make sure that they never bothered me like that again. Because there was times when I was a kid where I felt like nobody truly cared. And so I was like, I always got to look after myself. I always got to look after my friends because they cared. But that was where it was at. And me and my friends, the way we bonded is we made jokes. So honestly, that's where the jokes came in. sorry, that seemed like a long answer to get into what we were trying to get into. I don't know if I answered exactly what you wanted me to answer. Could you let me know if I did answer it, and if not, I could elaborate a little more.
I really don't think you did, but then again, it was such a long answer, and I was listening. I kind of forgot what I had asked.
I feel like you asked something about when you get serious about an issue.
Oh,
And I guess in short, if I'm going to crunch all that down into one and answer. So the question, if I remember right, was basically when you're trying to be serious and I deflect it into humor and you get mad, and I can tell that you're mad.
Like, how does that, like, make you feel?
How does that make me feel?
Yes.
It makes me feel like shit, because it makes me feel like a shitty human being, because, you know, I should have more empathy and whatnot for someone, and it's a work in progress. I can say that. Talking about it is one way to work on it, and I think, like you said, this episode's going to be a darker one, a more deeper rooted one. Not going to be as we're not going to be as on in this episode. We're going to be serious with you guys. And again, some of these episodes, it's all about, like, if we or I or her can be this honest with you guys, hopefully you guys can feel comfortable to be this honest with your significant other, because this is couples therapy. This is something that we have to discuss, and it's something that if it's in your relationship, you also have to discuss. So in gist of that question, yeah, I don't feel great about it. There's not much I know that I can do in my brain. It just tells me that, yeah, you messed up again. And is this going to be the one that sends her packing, kind of thing? That's the question, or that's what my brain goes to. Not that that's what I want, but that's what my brain says.
Okay. Oh, jeez. Oh, I'm not crying. You're crying. And knowing what I know about you, about, like, you know, your past, your childhood, you know,
And again,
just literally you answering the question.
Again, I want to reiterate, I don't think that I had the worst childhood, or I'm not trying to compete with anybody here. I'm just being honest about my opinion and how, like I said, everybody deals with things their way, and everybody's problems are their problems, and to them, they think they're closer to the end of the world than they see other people's, because they're the ones dealing with them.
And I know that as being, like, your girlfriend, I know I shouldn't be so reactive, like the way as much as I am in those types of situations, but it's also, for me, it's frustrating where, you know, it's just like, as your partner, you know, it's like I'm just, you know, wanting to let you know what's going on in my life, and just with, you know, just letting you know, and then just, you know, you kind of like shrugging it off or laughing it off. It's like, you know, it's like my brain is like, well, now we know not to talk to him about that. And it sucks, you know, like my brain, like it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, brain, like.
I think that I answered that a little bit earlier when I said that, you know, I couldn't go to my father about things, and he shrugged things off. I think it's something that I got used to as a kid, and now it's embedded into my brain that that's what you do. like I said, I never felt comfortable going to my dad about anything because it always seemed like a bother. I always felt like I was annoying him. My brother always, even when my dad felt like he was annoyed or something, he always, no problem, would go to him, and he's obviously in a better state than I am. I know me and my brother talked before, and he kind of deals with issues not similar to me, but around the same ballpark as me as well. But I think it's one of those things when you have a parent that's kind of a workaholic that focuses more on work than family, and that seemed to be the more main priority. And I get it because, you know, raising 2 kids on your own is not cheap. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I get the logistical part of it, and that's probably why, if you see me waving, I'm not trying to wave you guys away. I'm trying to keep the fly away from the camera. That's why it's flickering a little. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, even as a kid, I saw the logistics side of it, like the reasoning of why everything went down, and maybe that's why I was able to emotionally detach myself from it more than my brother was. But, yeah, I just felt like, oh, this is the way the world works. And then my brain worked that way because that's all I knew.
Okay, so as your girlfriend, is there anything that you could think of that I could do to to help you, like as an example, like if I'm trying to talk to you about something and then like you start like cracking jokes, like in that instance, do you feel or do you think that there is like something I can do to be like, or say something like, hey, you know, you're cracking another joke, like I'm trying to be serious, like anything like that? Like,
I personally, I feel like we've tried that and it doesn't work very good. You know, we've tried it sometimes where it's like, hey, I'm trying to be serious, and it doesn't work as well. I think talking about it like this is helping, but it's one of those things where like I'm trying. I just feel like sometimes I have a lot of baggage that needs to be completely unpacked, and it's one of those things where like another thing with my brain is like if I have like a load off of like issues going on from work or whatever, or just everyday life, and you know, like if somebody comes up to me and wants to talk about an issue that like my brain is like, yeah, that's just the way life is, you know, like it just kind of like my brain is just like, why are we even talking about this? Because yeah, that's just how the world works. You know, sometimes the world just flips around and says, hey, we're gonna have a bad day today because you know what, it's not all about you know, like it's not all about us, I guess, in a sense. For me, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, sometimes the world just takes you and bends you over in a way, and sometimes it takes you and bends you over for months on ends, sometimes years. It just sucks, and you're supposed to just take it and then turn around and smile and say, thank you, may I have another, sir? And oh, that might have been a crack, but you know, it's one of those things that I just sometimes my brain is, honestly, if I want to shorten this, is sometimes my brain is like, is this a big deal? I get that we've discussed it before, but it's a big deal to you, so it should be a big deal to me. I guess there's something in my brain that needs to be like, how do I decipher when it's really a big deal or if it's just, hey, let's just get through this kind of situation. Again, I know we've never tried to pretend like everything is perfect, or nothing like that. We're a couple. We have our ups and downs. Everybody does. I don't want anybody to think that, we want to come out here and pretend like everything's perfect. But we talk about our issues and we discuss it and we try to be honest with each other. And that's what this episode's been about so far, is just being honest. So if I've come off a little crude or whatnot, I am talking to her like I would if the camera wasn't on. And I think if Fidget wants to attest to that, and it's like sometimes we just, we are yin and yang here. So like we have completely opposite emotional, situation. She's more of a physical touch, feely type person who copes with physical touch, feely type things. And I'm more of a, hey, that's a 2-liter bottle. I can fit some more emotion than that. Hey, that's a 5-gallon bottle. Hey, that's a indoor swimming pool. That can fit all my baggage in it. I bottle it up and I gulp it down.
Yeah, that's not
And
good
then
to
I
do.
fart it out.
That was a crack. That was definitely
What's
one.
that, number 2? But that's just who I am. Do I think that's the healthiest way to do it? No, I acknowledge that it's not the healthiest way to do it. I'm just not one of those people that wants to sit there and talk about it. I'd rather put on something and laugh or make somebody laugh. Do you have any more questions for this? I mean, I know we could always do a part 2 if needed. I don't want to, because I know you have anxiety and depression and stuff like that. I don't want to push you too far down a rabbit hole.
I'm good, but thank you for the good looking out, but I'm good.
Is this episode going to be all right to post? Because I don't want to,
Hey, that's all on you. Like, you're the one being, like, super vulnerable here, not me.
But, you got the waterworks going, and I don't know if that takes a lot to also post.
I say go for it. I mean, like, this is, like, real, like, raw, like, emotion. Like, I'm not trying. And see, this is the thing. It's, like, honestly, like, I don't know why I'm getting, like, so emotional.
Yeah, I thought this was my deep episode. And it's one of those things where people are like, oh, you really are a robot. Fidget's seen me where she's seen water come out my eyes, so she can prove that I'm not a robot. She's also seen me bleed a lot, so unless that's oil, we don't know. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to be like, am I a robot? Do they power me down every night? And then they try to work on me. But I hope that this does help someone out there, and I hope this isn't just like did he really even answer any of their questions, or can we even understand what's going on here? I hope I'm being helpful in this and not just being like, oh, it seems like he just went on a long tangent and didn't really answer the questions. Tried to gist them up. Is there anything else that you would want to discuss in this episode? Again, we could do a part 2 if we need to, if you ever come up with some more questions.
Right. I think just, like, on my part, really, is just I gotta be more understanding of, like, okay, this is how he is.
And I don't want people to think that, oh, trying to make her change and not, change myself. It's a step-by-step process for me as well. Like,
and and I'm sure like in situations like when we're I'm trying to talk about something serious, I'm sure there's things that I'm either saying or doing wrong as well. And I feel like this whole thing is a learning experience for the both of us. I mean, we're not going to get it right the first time. We're not even going to get it right the 700th time. It's a long process.
Yeah. And it's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. So, like, when there's an issue like this, it's a way that we both can learn from.
Right.
Kind of thing. And again, like, this was never something that, like, put us on the strain of, like, oh, is this the end or anything. I know I said something like that, like, I worry about that. But I know that there's nothing right now that's at the risk of that. It's just, I think everybody, when they're in a relationship, can kind of have that thought in their head, like, oh, I hope I don't mess this up.
Right. And also being on this side of things of, like, being the significant other who being your girlfriend, it's just like...
I feel like we've mentioned that a couple times.
Yeah.
No,
there was something else I was going for, and it totally just left my head.
I feel like you're going on the track of maybe talking about, like...
No, it was something... Anyways.
Oh, I was going to say, like, maybe about being more physical and whatnot. No. Because you're trying to separate yourself from me, and I was thinking, you're more physical and more emotional, like... But, if you lost it, maybe it'll come back and we'll get it in a part 2.
Or maybe if it comes back, I'll just tell you after. Who knows?
Yeah. I hope, you guys find something in this. I hope this was helpful. Please let us know if it was. I'm not going to do any kind of plug-in here or whatnot. It's just be honest with us and we'll be honest with you kind of thing. That's how a community works. I appreciate you for asking these questions, and hopefully I satisfied by answering them. Again, I'm going to ask if there's anything else that I didn't quite cover. Let me know. I'm just going to close it here if we're ready to close it. Much love, guys. Peace.